Captain Frank Miller stared out the viewport of his ship, the EDF Defender. The massive council station loomed ahead, its curved metal arms stretching for miles. Frank adjusted his uniform collar, feeling the weight of 7 billion lives on his shoulders. As humanity's chosen representative, he couldn't afford to show weakness. "We're receiving docking instructions, Captain," said Lieutenant Donna Hayes from her station. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. "Proceed as directed," Frank ordered. He took a deep breath. "Remember, everyone, we play the part. We're the new kids, still finding our way." The Defender was Earth's newest ship, but they had deliberately kept its technology modest by human standards. The Council needed to believe humans were just beginning their journey to the stars. As they docked, Frank studied the alien vessels nearby. Some were sleek and elegant, others blocky and practical, but all were clearly more advanced than the Defender, or so they appeared. The welcoming party consisted of 6 different alien species. The tallest, a blue-skinned being with 4 arms, stepped forward. "I am Elder Zixthar of the Galactic Council. Welcome to Central Station, Captain Miller." The alien's voice came through Frank's translator with a slight delay. "Thank you for your welcome," Frank replied with a slight bow. "Earth is honored to make contact with the Galactic Council." The alien's mouthparts twitched in what might have been amusement. "Come. The Council awaits." They walked through wide corridors filled with various alien species. Some glanced at the humans with curiosity, others with clear dismissal. Frank noticed everything, cataloging it all in his mind for the report he would send back to Earth. The council chamber was enormous, with 12 raised platforms arranged in a circle. Each platform held representatives from the major council races. In the center was a smaller platform where Frank was directed to stand. "The human representative may address the council," announced a hovering orb that seemed to serve as a moderator. Frank cleared his throat. "Distinguished members of the Galactic Council, I bring greetings from Earth. We are a young spacefaring species eager to learn and share knowledge with our galactic neighbors." The chamber filled with murmurs. One of the council members, a reptilian being with scaled skin, leaned forward. "Our scouts report you have only 20 interstellar vessels. Is this correct?" the alien asked. Frank nodded. "Yes, Elder. We have only recently developed faster-than-light travel." Another council member, a small creature with large eyes, spoke next. "And your weapons systems? How do you defend your world?" "We maintain a modest defense force," Frank answered carefully. "Earth has been unified for several generations. We focus more on exploration than warfare." Elder Zixthar rose from his seat. "Then it is fortunate you have encountered the Council now. There are many dangers in the galaxy that would see your world as easy prey." The reptilian elder nodded. "We offer protection status to developing worlds. You will contribute resources according to your ability, and in return, Council fleets will ensure your safety." Frank kept his face neutral despite the implied threat. "That is a generous offer. However, I must consult with Earth's leaders before accepting such an important proposal." "Of course," Zixthar said. "We understand your need to follow protocols. You have one standard cycle to consider our offer." As Frank was escorted back to his ship, a small green alien fell into step beside him. "They always do this," the alien whispered. "Find new races, offer protection, take resources. Be careful, human." Before Frank could respond, the alien hurried away, disappearing into a side corridor. Back aboard the Defender, Frank called his crew together. "They see us exactly as we wanted them to," he told them. "Weak, new to space, easy to control." Donna smiled. "Should I send the coded message to Earth?" Frank nodded. "Tell them we're at Phase 1. The Council took the bait. As the Defender pulled away from the station, Frank watched the Council ships. They had no idea what humanity was truly capable of. And for now, that was exactly how he wanted it. The underground facility stretched for miles beneath the Rocky Mountains. Susan Ward walked briskly through the main corridor, her footsteps echoing against the metal floor. As director of Earth's Special Projects Division, she had spent the last 15 years preparing for this moment. "Captain Miller's report just came in," said her assistant, handing her a tablet. "The Council reacted exactly as predicted." Susan nodded, scanning the information. "They think we're helpless children who need protection." A small smile appeared on her face. "Perfect." She entered the main command center where 50 of Earth's top military and scientific minds were gathered around a large holographic display of the solar system. President Jack Russo stood at the head of the table. "Director Ward," he greeted her. "I understand our ruse is working." "Yes, Mr. President. The Council believes we have only 20 ships and minimal defenses," Susan explained. "They've offered us protection status, which is really just a polite term for making us their servants." The President frowned. "How long until they expect an answer?" "One standard cycle, about 2 weeks Earth time." Dr. Paul Green, Chief of Technology, pointed to several blinking points on the holographic map. "Our hidden shipyards are at full production. We can have another 500 ships ready before the deadline." Susan moved to the display and zoomed in on Mars. "What's the status of the Elite Guardian training program?" General Roy Hudson, a stern-faced man with gray hair, answered, 70,000 soldiers ready for deployment. The Neuralink systems are running at optimal levels." The room fell silent as the main screen switched to an incoming transmission. Lieutenant Alan Garrett's face appeared, his expression serious. "Director Ward, I have urgent news," he said. The young intelligence officer was currently undercover aboard a Council trade vessel. "I've intercepted communications between 2 Council members. They don't plan to wait for our answer." "Explain," Susan demanded. "The Tundari and Hegemony representatives are planning to send scout ships to assess Earth's defenses more thoroughly. They're also discussing how to divide Earth's resources among themselves." Alan's image flickered slightly. "They've referred to humans as simple primates who got lucky with their technology." The President's face hardened. "How soon will they make their move?" "I believe we have about 3 months before they send a peacekeeping force to Earth, regardless of our answer," Ellen replied. "Thank you, Lieutenant. Stay safe and keep us informed," Susan said before ending the transmission. She turned to address the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, it seems our timeline has been accelerated. We need to prepare for Phase 2 immediately." In another section of the facility, engineers worked tirelessly on massive ships hidden from Council sensors. These vessels were unlike anything the Council races had ever seen. While Council technology focused on energy weapons and particle shields, humans had taken a different path. Chief Engineer Linda Powell inspected the newly installed gravitational manipulation drive on Earth's flagship, the EDF Sovereign. This ship alone could outmaneuver an entire Council fleet. "How are the dimensional pocket generators coming along?" she asked her team. "All systems green," replied Engineer Steve Ortiz. "We can hide the entire fleet until the perfect moment." Back in the command center, Susan brought up images of various Council races. "They think they know what humanity is capable of," she told the gathered leaders. "They've made the same mistake countless species have made throughout Earth's history, underestimating humans based on appearances." President Russo stood tall. "Then we'll have to show them why that's always been a mistake." Susan nodded. "Operation Reveal is now our priority. When Captain Miller returns from the Council, he'll bring their ultimatum. And then, when they least expect it, they'll see what humanity can really do." Outside the facility, snow fell gently on the mountain, giving no hint of the massive military buildup happening beneath the surface. Across Earth, similar facilities prepared for what was coming. The Council thought they were dealing with a young, naive species. They would soon learn how wrong they were. 2 weeks passed quickly. The Council station looked the same as before when Captain Frank Miller returned, but this time he wasn't alone. Major Olivia Caldwell walked beside him, her military uniform crisp and her posture perfect. As Earth's chief military strategist, she had insisted on joining the second meeting. "Remember the plan. Frank whispered as they approached the council chamber. "We appear respectful but firm." Olivia nodded slightly. "Don't worry. I've dealt with bullies before." The council chamber was packed with representatives from many worlds. News of the new human species had spread throughout the galaxy. The 12 council elders sat in their high seats, looking down at the humans with a mixture of curiosity and dismissal. Elder Zixthar spoke first. "Captain Miller, we welcome your return. Have you brought Earth's answer to our generous offer?" Frank stepped forward. "Yes, Elder. May I present Major Olivia Caldwell, who will speak on behalf of Earth's Defense Forces." Olivia moved to the center of the room, her eyes scanning each council member carefully. "Honorable Council, Earth has considered your offer of protection status with great care." The room grew quiet as everyone waited for the expected acceptance. "Earth respectfully declines," Olivia stated clearly. "We wish to join the Galactic Council as equals, not as a protected world." Murmurs and gasps filled the chamber. Several alien diplomats turned to each other in shock. The council members themselves seemed stunned by this unexpected response. Elder Grax of the Tundari Empire stood up. The large, four-eyed alien skin turned a deeper shade of purple in what Frank recognized as anger. "You misunderstand your position," Grax said, his voice booming through the chamber. "This was not a negotiation. Your planet will accept protection status." Olivia didn't flinch. "Earth understands its position perfectly, Elder Grax. We come in peace and friendship, but we will not surrender our independence." Another council member, a small floating creature named Frill, moved forward. "Your species is young, and your defense is minimal. There are dangers in this galaxy you cannot comprehend." "We understand the dangers," Olivia replied calmly. "We also understand the difference between protection and control." The chamber erupted in angry shouts. Elder Zixthar raised his four arms for silence. "This is most unusual," Zixthar said once the room quieted. "No new species has ever refused protection status in the history of the Council. Perhaps it's time for change," Frank suggested. "Earth brings new perspectives that could benefit everyone." Elder Grax slammed his fist on his console. "Enough. The humans clearly do not understand galactic politics. They need time to reconsider their foolish position." Zixthar nodded slowly. "We will give Earth one standard cycle to reconsider before we must take steps to ensure stability in your sector." "And what steps would those be?" Olivia asked directly. "The Council will send peacekeepers to ensure Earth's safety," Zixthar explained, his voice smooth but the threat clear. "For your own protection, of course." Olivia and Frank exchanged glances. This was exactly what they had expected. "We will relay your message to Earth," Frank said with a slight bow. "We appreciate the additional time to consider." As they turned to leave, Elder Grax called out, "Do not make the mistake of refusing again, humans. The Council's protection is not optional for worlds at your development stage." Once back aboard their ship, Olivia smiled grimly. "That went exactly as expected." "Let's hope the rest of the plan does too," Frank replied as he sent an encrypted message back to Earth. Phase 3 initiated. Council took the bait. Prepare Operation Reveal. The EDF Defender pulled away from the station, appearing small and vulnerable against the backdrop of the massive Council ships. Inside, however, the crew was anything but afraid. "Set course for Earth," Frank ordered. "We have 2 weeks to prepare for the biggest surprise the galaxy has ever seen." As the ship entered faster than light travel, Frank thought about the looks on the Council members' faces when they realized humanity was not what they seemed. That moment couldn't come soon enough. General Richard Bennett stood in the massive underground command center beneath Denver. Holographic screens surrounded him, showing real-time updates from across the solar system. Hundreds of officers worked at stations, preparing Earth's defenses for what was coming. "Status report," Richard ordered, his voice firm but calm. Colonel Amy Chen approached with a tablet. "The planetary defense grid is online, sir. All 50 orbital platforms are cloaked and operational." Richard nodded. and the quantum shield. Dr. Lisa Perry reports final calibrations are complete. The shield can be activated within 30 seconds of your command. The general moved to the central holographic display, showing Earth and the surrounding space. Small blue dots represented their visible fleet, the 20 ships the Council knew about. Red dots showed the positions where Council scout ships had been detected. "They're watching us," Richard noted, "just as we expected." The command center doors slid open as President Jack Russo entered with Director Susan Ward. Everyone stood at attention. "At ease," the President said. "What's our readiness level, General?" Richard gestured to the display. "Operation Reveal is at 98% readiness, Mr. President. The Mars base has activated all Elite Guardian units. Europa and Titan bases report all systems green." Susan pointed to several areas in the asteroid belt. "Our hidden shipyards have completed production ahead of schedule. We now have over 8,000 vessels ready for deployment." The President's eyebrows rose. 8,000. "The report I received yesterday said 6,000. Our engineers worked through the night," Susan explained with a small smile. "Humans tend to exceed expectations when our backs are against the wall." In another section of the facility, Dr. Lisa Perry and her team made final adjustments to the quantum shield technology. Unlike conventional energy shields used by Council races, the quantum shield existed partially in another dimension, making it nearly impossible to detect until activated. "Run the final diagnostic," Lisa instructed her team. Her assistant, Dr. Benwright, nodded. "Initiating now." The large screen in front of them, filled with complex equations and energy readings. Everything showed green. "Shield capacity at 100%, Ben reported. "We can withstand sustained bombardment from up to 500 Council warships simultaneously." Lisa allowed herself a moment of pride. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that." Meanwhile, at the Mars military base, Colonel Jake Foster watched as thousands of elite Guardians ran through combat drills. These weren't ordinary soldiers. Each had undergone special genetic treatments and neural implants that enhanced their natural abilities. "Impressive, aren't they?" said Major Diane Powell as she joined him on the observation deck. Jake nodded. "How are the new mech suits performing?" "Better than expected. The gravitational manipulation technology gives them speed and power that will shock the Council forces." One soldier below demonstrated by activating his suit's gravity manipulation field. He leaped 30 feet into the air, then moved with impossible speed across the training ground. Back in Denver, President Russo addressed the gathered command staff. 2 days ago, Captain Miller and Major Caldwell delivered our answer to the Council. As expected, they've given us an ultimatum." He paused, looking at each person in the room. "We've prepared for this moment for decades. Humanity has always faced challenges by adapting and innovating." Richard stepped forward. "Council races develop technology in predictable patterns. They all follow the same path: energy weapons, particle shields, and conventional faster-than-light drives. But humans took different paths." Susan continued. "While they focused on brute force, we developed dimensional folding. While they built bigger weapons, we perfected gravity manipulation. Their ships require large crews. Ours use advanced AI systems. And most importantly," Lisa added, "they expect us to think like them, to fight like them. They have no idea what's coming." A warning light flashed on the main display. A young officer called out, "General, our long-range sensors have detected Council ships entering the outer solar system. They're ahead of schedule." Richard's expression hardened. "How many?" 300 vessels, sir. Battle formation." The President turned to Richard. "They're not waiting the full 2 weeks." "No, sir." Richard straightened his uniform. "It seems the Council is eager to teach us a lesson." "Then let's prepare to teach them one instead," the President replied. "Initiate Operation Reveal." Commander Vex Nor stood on the bridge of the Hegemony flagship, the inevitable victory. His tall, slender frame towered over the other officers as he studied the holographic display showing the human solar system. The blue-green planet called Earth was his target. "Status report," he demanded, his voice cold and precise. 300 warships in formation, Commander," his second-in-command reported. "All weapons systems charged and ready." Vexenor nodded. He had led 17 successful planetary subjugations for the Council. This would be no different. These humans, with their pitiful 20 ships, would learn their place quickly. "The Council ordered us to wait the full cycle," a science officer noted quietly. Vexenor turned his 6 eyes toward the officer. "The Council expects results. These humans have shown disrespect by refusing protection status. A swift lesson will save time and resources." The fleet moved past the gas giant Jupiter, its massive form barely registering on the hegemony sensors. Council technology had conquered planets far more impressive than this. "We are detecting movement from Earth," an officer called out. "Their ships are taking up defensive positions." On the main screen, 20 small vessels moved to intercept the Council fleet. It was almost laughable. "Open a communication channel to their planet," Vexenor ordered. The communications officer nodded. "Channel open, Commander." Vexenor straightened his ceremonial armor. "This is Commander Vexenor of the Galactic Council Peacekeeping Force. Your defensive capabilities have been analyzed and found insufficient. Surrender now and accept protection status, or we will disable your military installations with minimal civilian casualties." There was a brief pause before a response came through. The screen showed an older human male in a formal uniform. "This is President Jack Rousseau of Earth. Your fleet enters our system without permission and ahead of the agreed waiting period. This is an act of aggression." Vexenor's mouth twisted in what his species considered a smile. "The Council has determined that your planet requires immediate protection. You have 1 standard hour to stand down your forces." The human president's face remained calm. "Commander Vexenor, I strongly advise you to reconsider. Earth is not defenseless. If you proceed with this action, we will respond accordingly." Several officers on the bridge chuckled at the empty threat. 1 hour, Vexenor repeated, then cut the transmission. He turned to his tactical officer. "Target their orbital communications satellites first, then their primitive defense stations." Back on Earth, in the Denver Command Center, President Rousseau turned to General Bennett. "They're not going to wait the hour, are they?" he asked. Richard shook his head. "No, sir. Council races like the hegemony consider ultimatums a mere formality. They'll attack within minutes. Then we don't wait either." The president's voice was firm. "Activate Operation Reveal." General Bennett nodded to his communications officer. "Send the signal. All forces, execute Phase 1. Throughout the solar system, hidden bases received the coded message. The 20 visible Earth ships began moving toward the Council fleet in what appeared to be a suicidal charge. In space near Jupiter, Commander Vexenor watched with amusement. "The humans are either brave or foolish," he commented. "Prepare to disable their engines with ion pulses. I want their ships intact for study." Suddenly, his science officer called out in alarm. "Commander, detecting spatial anomalies throughout the system." "What kind of anomalies?" Vexenor demanded. "Unknown. Our sensors are showing dimensional ruptures opening in multiple locations." Vexenor turned to the main view screen just as space itself seemed to tear open near each of Earth's planets and moons. His 6 eyes widened in shock as ships began emerging from these ruptures. Not dozens, but hundreds, then thousands. "Impossible," he whispered as the sensor readings continued to climb. His tactical officer's voice shook. "Commander, we're detecting over 5,000 warships now, and the count is still rising." The largest dimensional opening appeared near Earth. From it emerged a massive vessel unlike anything in the Council records. It was the EDF Sovereign, humanity's true flagship. Admiral Nicole Reeves stood on its bridge, her expression determined. "Open a channel to the Council fleet," she ordered. All across the Council ships, screens activated, showing the human admiral. "This is Admiral Reeves of the Earth Defense Force. You have violated our territory and threatened our world. Her voice was calm but carried unmistakable authority. Be advised that you are now witnessing only 10% of Earth's defensive capabilities. Commander Vexnor could only stare in disbelief as his carefully planned subjugation turned into something very different. Commander Vexnor gripped the edge of his command console as the sensor readings continued to climb. What had begun as a routine subjugation mission was quickly becoming the greatest disaster in his long military career. 5,000 human ships detected. 6,000. 7,000. His sensor officer reported, voice trembling. Commander, these readings cannot be accurate. Magnify the image. Vexnor ordered, forcing his voice to remain steady. The main screen showed multiple dimensional rifts throughout the solar system. From each one, ships continued to emerge. Unlike the simple vessels the Council had observed before, these were sleek, advanced warships with designs unlike anything in the Council database. Scan those vessels, he commanded. What weapons are they carrying? The science officer worked frantically at her console, then looked up with an expression of disbelief. Unknown, Commander. Our sensors cannot penetrate their hulls. Throughout the Council fleet, panic began to spread. Ship captains demanded instructions as the human vessels moved into perfect formation with practiced ease. On the bridge of the EDF Sovereign, Admiral Nicol Reeves watched the Council fleet's disorganized response with grim satisfaction. Deploy the orbital platforms, she ordered. Captain Greg Wilson nodded. Yes, Admiral. Deploying now. Throughout the solar system, massive orbital weapons platforms decloaked near every planet and major moon. These platforms, hidden for decades, revealed weapon systems that could target ships even in hyperspace. Technology the Council had deemed theoretically impossible. Open a channel to all Council vessels, Nicol said. When the channel was ready, she spoke clearly. Council fleet, this is Admiral Reeves. Your ships are now surrounded and targeted by our defense grid. Power down your weapons systems immediately. On the inevitable victory, Commander Vexnor received the transmission with growing rage and fear. This is impossible, he hissed. How could they hide this level of military power? All scans showed them as a primitive species. His tactical officer spoke hesitantly. Commander, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from Mars. Something is launching. The screen shifted to show the red planet. The surface seemed to ripple as thousands of smaller craft rose into orbit. Each contained elite guardians in their advanced battle armor, ready for boarding actions if necessary. What are those? Vexnor demanded. They appear to be combat troops, the tactical officer replied. Our scans indicate enhanced biological readings. These are not standard humans. On Mars Base Alpha, Colonel Jake Foster watched as his elite Guardian units deployed. Each soldier wore powered armor that enhanced their already augmented abilities. The sight of thousands of these warriors rising from the Martian surface would have been impressive even to those familiar with Council military might. All ships in position, Admiral, Captain Wilson reported. Elite Guardian forces deployed. Quantum shield generators standing by. Nicol nodded. And the Council fleet? They've stopped advancing. Several smaller vessels are breaking formation. They appear to be retreating. In the Denver Command Center, President Russo watched the holographic display with General Bennett and Director Ward. The Council never expected this level of resistance, Susan commented. Their historical records show that every new spacefaring race they've encountered has submitted to protection status. Richard nodded. They're trained to fight opponents who follow the same technological path they did. Our different approach has left them completely unprepared. On the inevitable victory, panic was spreading through the crew. Several junior officers argued loudly about their next move. We should retreat immediately. We cannot flee. The Council would execute us for cowardice. But we are outnumbered 20-1. Commander Vexnor silenced them with a thunderous command. Enough. We are hegemony warriors. We do not panic. He studied the tactical display. The human vessels had formed a perfect sphere around his fleet, leaving no avenue of escape. Their technologies were beyond anything the Council had seen before. "Signal the fleet," Vexenor finally ordered, his voice heavy. "Stand down weapons. Request communication with Earth leadership." His second-in-command stared in shock. "Commander, are we surrendering?" Vexenor's 6 eyes blinked slowly. "We are preventing the needless destruction of the Council's finest warships. This is not a battle we can win." As the Council ships powered down their weapons, Admiral Reeves allowed herself a small smile. "Inform Earth Command," she ordered. "Phase 1 complete. The Council fleet has stood down." Across the solar system, human forces remained at ready status. The message had been delivered. Earth would not be subjugated. 3 days after the confrontation in Earth's solar system, the Grand Council chamber on the massive station Harmony was filled to capacity. Representatives from all spacefaring races had gathered for what many were calling the most important council session in 1,000 years. For the first time ever, human representatives stood on the central platform. Captain Frank Miller and Major Olivia Caldwell were joined by Dr. Kevin Wallace, Earth's leading expert on alien cultures. They faced the 12 council elders who looked considerably less confident than during their previous meeting. Elder Zixthar opened the session, his 4 arms positioned in the formal gesture of respect, something noticeably absent during their earlier encounters. "This emergency session of the Galactic Council has been called to address recent events in the Earth system," Zixthar announced. "Commander Vexenor's peacekeeping fleet has withdrawn by mutual agreement, and we seek understanding." The chamber was silent as Zixthar turned to the humans. "The Council has witnessed capabilities that should be impossible for a species at your development stage. We demand an explanation." Dr. Kevin Wallace stepped forward. Unlike his military companions, he wore simple civilian clothes. His calm voice carried throughout the chamber. "The explanation is simple, Elder Zixthar. You assumed our development would follow the same path as yours. That assumption was incorrect." Kevin moved to the center of the platform and activated a holographic display showing Earth. Humanity evolved on a planet with higher gravity, more diverse biomes, and more natural predators than any Council homeworld. Our path to the stars was different than yours. The display changed to show human history, ancient wars, rapid technological advancement, and finally global unity. "Our past was filled with conflict," Kevin continued. "This forced us to innovate in ways you never needed to. While your species were cooperating across your planets, humans were fighting each other. It was only in the last few centuries that we united." Elder Grax leaned forward. "This does not explain the dimensional technology. Our scientists say it should be impossible." Kevin smiled slightly. "Impossible by your understanding of physics, perhaps. Humans explored different scientific paths. When we detected your first signals 50 years ago, we realized we might not be alone. We prepared accordingly." "You deliberately deceived the Council," another elder accused. Captain Frank Miller stepped forward. "With respect, Elder, we were cautious. History taught us that revealing strength too soon often leads to unnecessary conflict. We observed how the Council treated other new species and decided to conceal our true capabilities until we understood your intentions." Major Olivia Caldwell added, "The moment your fleet entered our system ahead of schedule, your intentions became clear." The chamber erupted in angry shouts and arguments. Elder Zixthar raised his arms for silence. "This situation is unprecedented," Zixthar admitted once the noise subsided. "Never has a new species concealed such advanced technology." A new voice rang out from among the Council races, a small green alien that Frank recognized as the one who had warned him during his first visit stood up. "Perhaps this is a sign that our practices need reconsideration," the alien suggested. "For too long, the Council has forced protection status on new races, taking their resources while giving little in return." Murmurs of agreement rose from many representatives. After 3 days of heated debate, the Council reached its decision. Elder Zixthar stood before the assembled races. "The Galactic Council hereby recognizes Earth as an independent power," he announced formally. Furthermore, in recognition of humanity's unique perspective, Earth will be offered a conditional seat on the Council itself, the first new addition in 2,000 years. As the session ended, Frank turned to Olivia and Kevin. "Do you think they'll ever trust us again?" Olivia smiled. "Trust is earned over time, but they'll certainly respect us now." Kevin nodded. "This is just the beginning. Humanity has much to offer the galaxy and much to learn." Back on Earth, the hidden armada returned to its dimensional pockets, and celebrations spread across the planet. Humanity had peacefully secured its place among the stars not through submission, but through strength and strategic thinking. President Rousseau addressed the people of Earth. "Today marks a new chapter in human history. We came in peace, prepared for war, and achieved respect. The stars are now truly within our reach."